It is Wednesday the 10th of October 2018. Lovely sunny day, but I'm actually having to spend my time mainly in the Civic Centre today because I have 4 meetings. So I've just arrived for my first, which is an advisory group on a consultation that the government is carrying out about changes to election law, which also includes a bit about harassing candidates and campaigners. And given that Gateshead Council has a case tomorrow at the High Court in Newcastle, where I'm a witness for the council, which involves harassment of certainly council officials and councillors by a particular individual in Gateshead, then it's rather a timely consultation. But the issue for me now is that I actually have 4 meetings today, so I'm going to be in and out of the Civic Centre and back to home and back here on a number of occasions. First meeting now over, and it's looked at the proposed offences that the government may introduce to stop harassment of candidates. My view is that some revision needs to take place to for the law to be brought up to date in terms of social media and so on, because there's an awful lot of harassment takes place on social media. I look at some of the stuff that's written about me by a small number of individuals, and it is quite offensive, and it does amount to some degree to harassment. So I think there's a case there for improvements to the law. I'm always reluctant to have yet more legislation passed and everything controlled from left, right and centre. So I'd reluctantly support changes to the law. But there was one that came up which suggested that if somebody is involved with harassing a parliamentary candidate and campaigners, then they should be, if prosecuted successfully, they should be denied the right to vote. And I said that is going too far. Effectively, you are removing their citizenship, and I think that was too much. I think of the people who harassed me a couple of months ago, about one of whom is up in court tomorrow, then I wouldn't want to withdraw his right to vote, even though he engaged in a campaign of harassment against me. So anyway, what's going to happen is that the officer is going to draw up a report based on the responses from the members at the meeting today. It's a tight timetable to get this back to the government, so when she's produced a report, one copy will be sent to me and one to the leader of the council, and we will study that, make sure that both sides of the council are happy with what is put in the response, and then that will go off to the government. In the meantime, I've got to go home now, and because I've got wall-to-wall meetings all afternoon, all the jobs I'll be doing in the afternoon, such as feeding my goats and so on, will now have to be done before 2 o'clock this afternoon, because that is the time of my next meeting. It's now about 10 to 2. As you can see, I am back in the car on the way back to the Civic Centre for meeting number 2 today, which is a council seminar for members about road maintenance. We do really get to have all the interesting stuff as councillors to do, and given the state of some of our roads, then actually it's quite an important issue. So I suspect they'll be telling us how meagre resources are going to be spread out over a infinitely large area, because no matter how much money is available, roads are always needing resurfacing and potholes filling in. However, I've got 11 minutes to get to the meeting, so time is a bit tight. Well, meeting now over, and it was very much as expected, a discussion about the problems of trying to spread the resources, inadequate resources over a large number of roads. Apparently our road network in Gateshead has a notional value of £1.8 billion, which was came as a bit of a surprise. I don't think Gateshead, any assets in Gateshead could be worth that much, but it was only a notional thing. And they also had some figures projected forward for how long it will take before particular roads get resurfaced, as in particular categories, so how long you can expect to wait. So the longest wait was for unclassified roads, which will have to wait 147 years before they are likely to be resurfaced under current projections. 30 odd years if you're on a main A road, and other categories of road was between the 30 and the 147. So if you're on a unclassified road, sorry, but you're not going to be, well, you're probably going to be dead and buried before it gets resurfaced. Anyway, right, meeting over. Ideally, I would have liked to have stayed here at the Civic Centre to get on with some work, but two things, well, I can't do that. First of all, I don't have my glasses with me, so I can't read anything. And secondly, there are still things I need to do at home, which means I'm having to go back to Sunnyside now. So, ideally, I could do without all this driving and all this petrol that I'm burning up, but off home now, and then I'll be back for a 4:30 meeting. Just arrived back at the Civic Centre. Here I am in the familiar surroundings of the car park. Right, and my next meeting at 4:30, which is about 2 minutes away, is a seminar for councillors about particular sort of planning issues called, I can't quite remember the exact wording for it, but it's about identifying small-scale plots of land for house building. So planning seminar now over. The biggest thing I learned today was that the planning department's targets for 500 houses are 50% below. So they're only building 250 houses at the moment, so I suspect that will have to be revisited at some point. Anyway, that planning seminar is now over. Next meeting is the planning committee, and that's where I've actually got two items on the agenda that I'm particularly interested in. One is the Starling Walk application, which I've been fighting, and the other is the proposals to put 89 houses on Pennyfine Road, which was all part of the council's plan to build something like 10,000 houses across the borough. But the initial proposal for that some years ago for that site was to have 700 houses there, so we've managed to reduce it down from by nearly 90%. So we'll see what the planning committee comes up with.
The application date, 4 isn't it?